Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ophelia Kilby. I am the owner of Fee's Beauty Bar here in New York. We are a luxury brow studio and we specialize in all things brows, nano brows, brow lamination and tinting, brow shaping. I wanted to start this YouTube channel just to give you guys some tips and tricks and tutorials on how I was able to perfect my skills and build my six-figure business within a year of having my daughter. So today, this is gonna be my first video, and I've never done a YouTube video before, so I wanted to start off with this beautiful client of mine. So she came in, and usually with brow lamination and tinting, as you guys know, you have to prepare for it. So obviously no exfoliating products around the skin or anything like that. And then as well, you're not supposed to really tweeze or cut your brow hairs, so you'll get the best results from it. So if you as a brow artist ever encounter any issues like this where your client doesn't necessarily prep properly for the brow lamination and tinting procedure, there's still things that you could do to make sure that your clients come out with the best results possible. So I'm gonna go into this tutorial today showing you guys how I did that. So stay tuned, let's get started with the tutorial. Alright guys, so let's get started over here. So as you can see, my beautiful client, she has one brow that slightly goes up a little higher than the other. She has downward brow hairs towards the end of her brows, and she had over-tweezed slightly a little bit up on the left side of her brow, or her right side. I think that's her right side. Our right side. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna laminate her brows, and we're gonna give her a little bit more of a lifted appearance and try to get her brows as even as possible. Alright guys, so we're gonna apply step 1 of the lamination lotion from the roots up. One thing that I always like to keep in mind is the client's brow thickness. So if they necessarily have a very coarse brow, then you're gonna wanna laminate for a longer time. She has, I would say medium thickness, so I ended up processing her for 8 minutes. And it really just depends on the type of lamination lotion you're using. This one is particularly 8 minutes for medium brows. And we're gonna just work that product in. All right, so now we're gonna go in and we're gonna put the cling wrap on the brows. One thing I do like to do is put the wrap on for about a minute or two and then check how the hairs are doing. Then I will go in and brush them into the direction that I want. Okay, so after the 3 minutes have passed, I like to just check in the hair, and we're gonna work that product in even more. So we're gonna grab a little micro brush and we're just gonna brush the hairs in this manner. I always say, as you can see in certain spots of the brow, you can tell where she cut the hairs a little bit too much, but it's okay, we can always work with it. So you want to brush the hairs sort of in a sideways motion in that manner. So I don't like to brush the hairs all the way up. I like to brush them just like I am in the video right over here. Okay, so after the 8 minutes were up, I went in with my cotton round and I wiped it all off. You want to make sure you are taking off all the product, and you want to make sure there is no more product lingering there, and you don't want it just to keep processing even though there's still product there even after the 8 minutes are up. Okay guys, so we're gonna go in and apply the step 2, and every single lamination lotion that you use is very different, so you want to make sure you're reading your manufacturer's instructions. But for the one that I'm particularly using, so if I did 8 minutes for the step 1, it's 8 minutes for step 2, and we're gonna work that product in from the roots up again. So once those 8 minutes are up, I'm gonna go back in, I'm gonna remove the cling wrap, and I'm going to remove, I dropped the cotton round. I used another one, so if you drop, don't use the same one, but I used the cotton round to remove the step 2. And as you can see, the brows are fully laminated and ready for the mapping and tinting process. Alright, so now we're going to begin by mapping her. I always like to start in the middle of the face. So once we determine the middle of the face, we're going to go and do the other two lines where her brows should begin. So this is what we call the golden ratio. The golden ratio just determines where the brows begin, where the brows arch, and where the brows end. And once we get that, we're going to go and do the arch line. And the ends of the brows. Go in and double check that both lines are the same. So you want to make sure that those two front lines are the same and they're meeting at the same end as the arch line, and you want to make sure that the brow length will all be the same. Once we have these three lines, we can go in and check to see that both brows are on the same plane. Alright, so we're going to draw that straight line across, and as you can see, they're both pretty much on the same plane. It's just certain areas of the brows that need to be filled in. So then we're going to start actually drawing the line and the brows with our mapping string, just like that. And we're going to want to make sure that both brows are super even. Now we're going to go in and draw, we're going to get pretty close to that hairline and draw a line straight up like that. And now we're going to go and we're going to connect those two lines. I call those the little half triangles, and we're going to go straight up into the forehead like that. And we're going to do the same thing right over here. Now we're going to go in with our pen and we're just going to connect those lines. I was just double checking. You always want to double check your work. Make sure that it's 100% even. All right, and now we're going to go in with our mapping pen and we're just going to very softly connect those lines, just like that. You don't want your arch line or your arch line on the bottom or your arch line on the top to be too pointy. You always want to draw very soft and natural lines. I like to go over the shape again one more time, and then just make sure it's cleaned up for your client before you give it to them. Well, before you show them. Before you show them the brow shape. Don't mind me, guys. This is my first YouTube video. Bear with me. Once you have cleaned up the brows, I like to use either a pointy Q-tip, or you can use a flat brush and just use a little bit of micellar water, or you can use witch hazel. I like to use witch hazel too, just to clean it up a little bit, just like that. So you can grab your brush and you can use that. Personally, I prefer using witch hazel to clean it up just because it doesn't really affect the tint saturation, opposed to using micellar water. Micellar water you can use on the outside, but if you ever have to clean up on the inside, I wouldn't recommend micellar water because it can give you an uneven saturation. Alright guys, so once we have our brows shaped in and our client had approved, I want to go in with my tint, and what I will do is I will go towards the ends of the brows first. make sure we're working in very thin layers at first. You don't want to use too much product at first. Alright, so now that we finished the first ends of the brows, I like to go in and do the other end of the brow. I don't like to go in too close to the beginning because you want it to be as soft and natural as possible. Alright, as you can see, I had diffused that color a little bit more to the front, and now I'm just going over the ends a little bit more just to make sure that the brows are nice and saturated towards the ends, because that's where she really needed it the most. Once I have finished applying the tint, now I'm going to go in and I just brush the hairs up slightly, and I'm going to go in and just trim the hairs just like that. And just make sure everything is super clean. Alright, so now we're just gonna finish up and waxing her. She obviously tweezed before her appointment, so I didn't really want to go in and wax too much. I was just really waxing the areas that I felt like really needed it. Like at the top of her brow, she had a few loose hairs that I wanted to just take out to even out the brows even more. Alright, so now we're going to go in and we're going to remove the brow tint. I like to just make sure I'm using something gentle that's just going to remove the top layer of the dry tint and not actually remove the tint. So if you're using oils, I don't love the oils. I don't think they really help remove the tint properly. I think they kind of increase the chances of it fading a little bit faster. But as you can see, I really was not happy with just this color. I feel like she needed a little bit more pizzazz in her ends. So then I went in with an even darker color just to fill in the ends even more, because that's really what she needed. Alright, so now I went in and I'm gonna go in with an even darker color, but as you can see, I still see the color of the tint, so I just went over it again. There's really no need to map, but I went in with an even darker color. Oop. And as you can see, I had a little whoopsie there. If you have a little whoopsie ever with your tint, you can just go in and just clean it up. But just make sure you're working with it quickly, because that tint will absorb into the skin fairly fast, especially if you're using a dark color. Alright, so as you can see now that the brows are done processing, and I did like to use a little bit of a darker tint just because her roots are fairly cool, and I wanted her tint to match her roots as much as possible. So I feel like this combination in color was like perfect. And it darkened up those ends a lot more, which I was happy about. Alright guys, so now that we cleaned her brows up and I tweezed all the little areas that I felt like needed, I went back in and I'm gonna go in with a concealer, and I'm gonna use my angled flat brush or a round brush. And I just like to go in and just make sure that those edges are super sharp. I always like to make sure that all my clients leave when they come in and they have their brows done. They're coming in to get their brows done, so it has to be perfect. So yeah, here we go. We're just gonna work that concealer in and just sharpen up the brows even more. So yeah, guys, these are the final results. They came out so beautiful. If you guys are more interested in more in-depth tutorials, I also have a online brow course coming out soon. I will link the waitlist down below. It will go over absolutely everything you need to know about brow lamination, tinting, and shaping, as well as client retention and how to build your clientele. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can click the link down below. And we also host in-person trainings for anybody who needs a little bit more hands-on experience. I have some links on there as well that goes over absolutely everything else as well. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to comment down below, and I would love to respond to all of you ladies or guys. And if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like these. I will be putting up videos every single week. And yeah, I hope you guys love this, and I hope everybody has a beautiful day. I'll talk to you guys soon.